Our new Craftsman Overdrive tools, they seem to be childproof. Craftsman sent us a box unsolicited and just asked us, hey, will you take a look at our new Overdrive series of tools? The Overdrive series is available in their wrenches as well as their sockets and ratchets, and we're digging the new gunmetal look here, so that darker chrome finish looks really good. Anyway, and they had a pretty cool way of actually packaging this up. Let's dive right in, and then we'll come back and talk about pricing and warranty. If we take a closer look at this fastener, we will see that it's pretty much rounded off. They've rounded off the corners of all 6 points of that fastener. So we've got the rounded fastener. We're going to take the Milwaukee wrench, and no grab whatsoever on the box end, which has a 12-point design. On the open end, you see it's got the little teeth right there. Let's see if we get any grab there. No, if I slide it back a little, it grabs a little bit, but that's it. I can get it to grab just a little bit, but nothing that's going to turn that fastener. Go to the Husky. There are no teeth on that open end, and then again a 12-point design. Obviously nothing there. Same on the, nope. I will say that was tighter. But yeah, nothing. All the way in, even slid part way out. It does not grab enough to turn the fastener, which I'm impressed. They've got it pretty tight. They've got a nut welded on the back side, by the way. So let's go to the Craftsman wrench. Here we go. And by the way, if you look here, you see the little teeth there. Looks like kind of a wave pattern. Wow. Okay. I thought it was gonna slip there for a second, but it turned a bit and then grabbed. And same thing. Nope. Nope. There we go again. I'm sliding on the tightening. I don't know, it grows a little bit and then grabs pretty good there. I'm curious on this side. Box end looks like a 6-point design. Yeah, turns that too. Now let's turn it around. Let's get this one on the box end so it's not loosened yet. This one has not been touched yet. And yeah, that backside off, no problem. And tightens it pretty well. Okay, let's take these off and take a closer look at all the tools. Okay, let's get this brace off of here, and you'll see the nuts welded on the back side. And let's get this open. Looks like we have some side clamps as well, or clips. Tools on the base, tools on the lid as well. Good looking gunmetal or gunmetal chrome, whatever you want to call that. Fairly heavy feel on the ratchet, which you want some decent weight in your ratchet. 180 teeth in these ratchets. We'll take those apart here in a moment. And then these sockets are supposed to have that same gripping technology. Yep, they do. So you can see in there, looks like every other flat. So one flat is flat, and the next flat has the gripping teeth in there, if you will. So the same technology in the wrench. See it on a bigger wrench. Right there is that same technology in the sockets as well. So in this 121 piece kit, looks like we get metric and SAE wrenches from 3/8 of an inch all the way up to 5/8, and then in the metric side we get everything from 10 millimeter to 15 millimeter. We get some Allen wrenches, and then looks like 3/8 sockets in long and short in both SAE and metric. We're going as high as 17 millimeter and as 5/8 of an inch, and down as low as 10 millimeter and 3/8. And then we get into the 3/8 drives. So we've got the 3/8 deep socket here, and then we have the 1/2 inch sockets, which it looks like we only get those in that that shallow well, or maybe a mid-length almost, but I would call it shallow well. So that's in the 1/2 inch here, and that goes from 1/2 inch all the way up to 7/8, and then from 15 millimeter up to 22 millimeter. And then we get into the 3/8 side of things from a 5/16 all the way up to 3/4 of an inch, and in metric from 10 millimeter up to 9 millimeter in the shallow well 3/8 drive. We get the 1/2 inch drive ratchet, we get the 3/8 drive ratchet, and the 1/4 inch drive ratchet as well. All of these in the 180 teeth. So it looks like both of our spark plug sockets are in SAE because we have 5/8 and 13/16 with both of them with the rubber plug to grab onto the ceramic of the spark plug. Then it looks like we get a 6-inch 3/8 drive extension, a 3-inch 1/2 inch drive extension, and looks like probably a 3-inch or 4-inch 1/4 inch drive extension, and a 3/8 universal, some bits, and the bit driver right here. I do want to take these ratchets apart. In fact, we're about to take these ratchets apart because I want to see how they designed the pawl on this. Pawl being P-A-W-L. I'll explain in just a moment. But I did want to weigh these 3 wrenches that we got with the kit. And we'll make sure we're in grams. Yeah, we're in grams. And then we'll go with the Husky first. 105 grams. Milwaukee, 115 grams. And this is the Craftsman that felt heavier, 125 grams, so 10 grams heavier. However, it is a little bit longer than the Milwaukee. So I would say these are probably equal in weight if this was, you know, not as long as this is. But anyway, it just felt heavier. It felt good in the hand, by the way. And I like this beam design. You know, it's got rounded edges on it. It still feels pretty good. Nothing rough or anything to cut into your hand, and not too bulky either. So a couple of things here. We're going to take apart this ratchet here. We'll take apart the 1/2 inch because that's the largest. We'll get a better eye view, I think, and once we take this apart. And once we get this apart, then I'm going to pull apart this Craftsman right here. This is a Craftsman USA made 1/2 inch ratchet that's probably, I don't know, probably maybe mid 80s, early 90s maybe. So we'll take this one apart after we get this one apart, just kind of compare the two. So once you loosen those, these plates will come out the backside, or this plate will come out the backside, and then don't lose the screws. So we kind of get a flush mount design on the front side other than the switch, and then push button detent that operates that ball bearing right there. See how that pushes in? Once that's pushed up, let it back out, it pushes back out. And once we pull this out, this pawl right here, this is the pawl I'm talking about. Let me see if I can wipe it clean. Looks like it says 4B. Now that, I'm assuming there's a dual pawl design. I think there is another pawl just like this down below it, and I bet it's probably labeled 4A. So help me to remember, 4A is going to go toward the top side of the ratchet, and 4B is going to be facing me. And so when I pull this out, so there's your anvil with the teeth on it. And by the way, 180 teeth, if you divide 360 degrees by 180 teeth, then you got it. You get a 2-degree swing arc, which means you only have to move this 2 degrees before it engages the next tooth. So as I was mentioning, get a dual pawl design. So we have a 4A, man, how did I guess that? So 4A right there and 4B here. And I believe they go this way, like that in there. And if you'll look down here, you have two of these. These are springs, and that's keeping pressure in that detent area, or in that concave area, curved area of that pawl. And if I pull these out, don't lose those springs either. So once I pull those out, then I should be able to get this directional lever out, and now I can rebuild my ratchet. You know what's interesting? Not much grease in there at all. Just a little grease on those teeth there. And quite frankly, a ratchet doesn't need a lot of grease. In fact, sometimes it'll get you stuck, especially when you get into a high tooth count like this. If you put a really sticky grease in there, sometimes it will actually have that ratchet stick a little bit and not really engage all those teeth. So they're doing well by not putting a ton of grease in there. In fact, there's some people that just literally lay their ratchets in oil or use motor oil to lube them, not even use grease. So not recommending that, I'm just saying that's the case. So I like the build quality on this ratchet. I do. I like the dual pawl design, because what that enables you to do is really have a larger tooth that's engaging that anvil, but being able to kind of skip a tooth, if you will, with that dual pawl design, and engaging every other, because these things probably sit off just a little bit, offset of one another, and engage at different times. Let's put it back together and actually see. But before we put that one back together, let's take this one apart. And instead of two T10 screws, this has a snap ring. Hopefully I won't get these mixed up. And that slides out. You see more of a used up grease there. Thinner plate here as well. And then for the lever action here, you see the pawl design. It's basically one large tooth that's engaging on forward and one large tooth on the opposite side. I bet this is probably a 32 tooth, maybe a 48, and then you have just a little detent ball in there that's engaging that. Should be able to just slide this out, but I bet that ball might shoot out. Nope, it didn't shoot out. Okay. So there's the little ball bearing that pushes against the anvil, or the pawl, and then there's a little spring in there. So quite different design there. So let's start counting again. So I'm going to start right here at the ball. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm already to this flat. So 9 times 4, this is probably a 36 tooth ratchet. And the grease has just kind of crusted over. Not much grease left on there. I really should probably clean this up and re-grease it. I'm not going to do that. Let's get it back together and get the other back together. Now we've got our dual pawl back in, and as I mentioned, if you'll look down inside here, I hope that my camera can get that, you can see that those two pawls are not exactly in line with one another, that one is kind of offset in there. And in fact, without this back in here, see there's 4A, it rides on this side of the anvil, and 4B rides on this side. And you can see what I'm talking about here. They don't engage the teeth at the same angle. They're different pawls. So you can see if I go one more tooth over, you can see we can't exactly line these up on the teeth. So one paw is different than the other. So again, you can see down in there, Those paws don't exactly line up. And you can hear when I rotate, one will engage and the other one. Kind of like a click, clack, click, clack. Pretty cool design. So you see in a quarter turn, how many clicks there? Quarter turn here. Much less. And as we said before, right here on the open end of the wrenches, you see those teeth machined into the open end and kind of a wave pattern on the bottom jaw. So kind of teeth on the top, and wave pattern on the bottom jaw, and then on the closed end or boxed end side, and then on the boxed end side of things, the same as the socket. One flat is flat and the next flat has the grooves in it to bite. And they also have the reliefs cut in each one of the corners as well. Again, really liking that gunmetal chrome. Nice finish. There is very little doubt, and it's pretty obvious, that the Overdrive wrenches did a great job at removing those fasteners that were supposedly 70% rounded off. I don't know how you actually compute 70%, but regardless, the Husky and the Milwaukee wouldn't even touch it hardly. I think the open end of the Husky would try to grab at it, but just really wouldn't do anything with it. And on the Craftsman, actually, on the open end, one time we did it, actually we did this a few times and then would tighten them back up. When we initially got the package and we tried the wrenches, again, the Milwaukee nor the Husky would open either one with either side of the wrench. And the open end of the Craftsman would loosen those bolts. After we used it a few times, we kept putting it back together and taking it back apart. Then I guess we tightened it enough to where the open end would not open or loosen those fasteners, but the box end always was successful at loosening those fasteners. So it does a great job. We haven't really used the sockets in the same manner, so we can't speak for those. And on the ratchets, we were pretty impressed with the 180 tooth or 180 teeth pawl design there, so that every 2 degrees you're actually engaging a new tooth and you're able to actually get a better bite of the fastener with very little movement in the actual ratchet itself. And that dual pawl design is a pretty cool way of being able to lessen that arc swing and still get the same amount of grab. Now, we definitely wouldn't call this a full review at all, just kind of a first look into the Overdrive series of tools from Craftsman. We'll definitely take a deeper dive into these as more are released. This 121-piece kit will run you $149, and they have a lifetime warranty, just like always with the Craftsman tools. So check it out if you want to. We'll probably have a link in the description. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, well, give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day and keep smiling.